The judicial coup continues as rogue judges move quickly to sabotage President Trump's efforts to secure election integrity. Gee, I wonder why. Corrupt Clinton judge partially blocks President Trump's election integrity executive order, including requiring proof of citizenship. A federal judge on Thursday partially blocked President Trump's executive order on election integrity, including the requirement to add proof of citizenship to federal voter registration forms. President Trump's March 25th Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections executive order mandates voter ID and documentary proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections, audits, and improves the security of voting machines, and orders the DOJ to enforce the law against states that count mail-in ballots received after Election Day. It also prioritizes the enforcement of laws preventing foreign money from influencing elections and federally funded organizations from lobbying or supporting candidates. Additionally, the order includes a provision that the Department of Homeland Security, in coordination with the DOJ administrator, shall review each state's publicly available voter registration list and available records concerning voter list maintenance activities as required by law, alongside federal immigration databases and state records requested, including through subpoena where necessary, and authorized by law for consistency with federal requirements. Far-left nonprofit groups such as the Campaign Legal Center and the State Democracy Defenders Fund filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration to block the election integrity order. The DNC and other Democrats also filed suit. On Thursday, Judge Colleen Kollar-Kotelly, a radical Clinton appointee who previously mocked an elderly Catholic woman as she threw the book at her for praying at an abortion clinic, sided with the far-left nonprofit groups. This radical judge blocked President Trump's executive order, including proof of citizenship. However, the judge did not block Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots received after Election Day. Well, it is obvious by now. These Democrats are going to protect their new voters, their new citizens, at all costs. They will ensure that they stay here to survive a Trump presidency or whoever comes next in 2028. Because at some point, when Democrats return to full power, there will be some kind of psycho in the White House, a Democrat that will provide mass amnesty, that will provide citizenship, a pathway to citizenship, for the nearly 30 million illegal aliens that have been imported into our country just the past 4 years alone under the Biden regime. This is why they all gotta go. Unconstitutional. Obama judge blasts President Trump, blocks administration from withholding funds from sanctuary cities. A federal judge out of San Francisco on Thursday blocked President Trump from pulling federal funds from sanctuary cities. U.S. District Judge William Orrick said withholding federal funds from sanctuary cities is unconstitutional. President Trump issued a flurry of executive orders in his first term and is now in his second term to withhold funds from jurisdictions harboring illegal aliens. Santa Clara, San Francisco, and 14 other cities and counties sued the Trump administration, moving for a preliminary injunction blocking President Trump's executive orders. This seems to be a daily reoccurring theme at this point. Here we go again. Judge Orrick wrote in his 6-page order blasting President Trump for his second round of executive orders aimed at ending the open borders machine. In 2017, Judge Orrick permanently blocked a similar executive order from President Trump's effort to defund sanctuary cities. The judge said withholding funds from sanctuary jurisdictions is unconstitutional. He said it violates the 5th and 10th Amendments and also violates due process. Interesting, isn't it? These rogue judges point to the separation of powers while simultaneously violating and sabotaging the executive branch, the President of the United States, his constitutional authority and powers? Yes, because they're hypocrites. When these people, these traitors, find a law that they don't like, they just simply defy it and rewrite it later. Cancer, acne rosacea, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatoid arthritis are 4 different diseases in 4 different areas of medicine. What if they can all be treated with parasite medication, and that turns out for these diseases to be true? What if I told you that if you had a pet or ate sushi, you are more likely to have parasites. This means that a lot of our ailments that we experience every day are caused not by environmental issues, but by parasites as well. This is something Big Pharma does not want you to know about. I know many of us check off many of these boxes. This is why Purge is offering their new liver cleanse products. For all of you out there that need to clear those toxins out once and for all, PurgeStore.com offers everything you need to cleanse and detox your body. Powerful enzymes and probiotics, 15-day colon cleanse protocols, liver cleanse, and of course, the parasite cleanse. Right now, if you go to PurgeStore.com and use promo code DREW, that's DREW, you will get 20% off your entire order. Use the link in the description below, PurgeStore.com, and support the Gateway Pundit today. The Gateway Pundit is supported by the people, we the people, that is you, the American people. We thank you for your support. And here we have another one. Federal judge orders Trump administration to return another criminal illegal alien being held in, you guessed it, El Salvador. References MS-13 gangster Abrego Garcia in her ruling. Definitely not a psychopath. A Maryland judge has usurped President Trump's executive authority to keep dangerous illegal aliens out of America. As ABC News reported, U.S. District Judge Stephanie Gallagher ordered the Trump administration to facilitate the return of a 20-year-old Venezuelan man deported to El Salvador. The man, identified by pseudonym Christian in court records, is currently being held in El Salvador's infamous CCOT mega prison. Gallagher, a Trump appointee, claimed in her ruling that the man's removal violated a previous court settlement. The settlement in question is from a case filed in 2019 on behalf of illegal aliens who entered the United States as unaccompanied minors and later sought asylum. In that case, the group sued the U.S. government to have their asylum applications adjudicated while they remained in America. It was settled in 2024. Judge Gallagher further instructed the administration not to remove other people covered by the settlement. She called the deportation a breach of contract. Gallagher then went on to reference MS-13 golden boy for the Democrats, Gilmar Abrego Garcia, in her ruling.
It's the Trump administration versus the courts in the case of another migrant deported to El Salvador. Essentially, this group that sued the government, essentially, they want to have their asylum applications adjudicated while they remain in the United States. So it wasn't just that he couldn't be deported to El Salvador, it was he couldn't be deported really anywhere. And in this settlement, the parties settled in 2024. So what's happening here is that the government doesn't believe that they violated this settlement. They say that he was deported there because they alleged that he was a member of a gang.
On January 6th, 2025, Christian, the illegal alien, was convicted in the 482nd District Court at Harris County, Texas, for the offense of possession of cocaine, a Texas state felony, said Robert Cerna, the acting field office director for enforcement and removal operations. On March 15th, 2025, Christian, the illegal alien, was removed under the Alien Enemies Act, pursuant to Presidential Proclamation 10,903, as a Venezuelan citizen 14 years of age or older who is a member of TDA, Tren de Aragua. They sure love defending these bad hombres, and they love leaving minor details out. But I'll tell you this is what this Gilmar Abrego Garcia situation has done. It set a precedent, even for these rogue judges. They will point to their MS-13, wife-beater, suspected human trafficker, golden boy, when it comes to any future cases. Well, I'll tell you who is not backing down on this subject, actually doubling down, is Stephen Miller.
So look, you've cataloged the horrors that have been inflicted, the rapes, the beatings, the murders, the fentanyl deaths by the hundreds of thousands, the destruction of entire neighborhoods in this country because of the Democrat Party's policy of open borders these last 4 years. You mentioned the threat of international terrorism that is on our shores, the millions of gotaways who entered under the previous administration, on top of the millions more unvetted that were caught and released into the country, and the millions more that were allowed to either fly into the country or overstay their visas. It is a clear and present danger to the national security of this country, and we have federal judges telling President Trump that he can't deport these threats from our communities. This is the choice facing every American. Either we all side and get behind President Trump to remove these terrorists from our communities, or we let a rogue, radical left judiciary shut down the machinery of our national security apparatus. President Trump is going to see this through to his conclusion, and we will find and remove every terrorist from this country, and President Trump will make this nation safer than ever before, and he'll do it over the fighting and opposition of the Democrat Party, over the fighting and opposition of the communist left-wing judges, over the fighting and opposition of the far-left federal bureaucracy. He will not be deterred, Sean. He will see this through, I promise you.
Well, Stephen Miller is correct. Therefore, if these communist left-wing judges are in the wrong, and they're violating the Constitution, and they're subverting the executive constitutional powers of the President of the United States, well then, it's time to ignore them. It's time to move on. It's time to execute the agenda, the mass deportations, immediately. No longer going back and forth in court, causing delay, causing distraction, and a complete waste of time. If these rogue judges are legally in the wrong, it's time to ignore them and get the job done. My name is Drew Hernandez for the Gateway Pundit, and you have been on Watch with Drew Hernandez. I'll see you guys on the next one.